I used to think my tiredness was just part of getting older, something we all have to live with after 60. But when my energy levels plummeted and I felt exhausted all the time, I knew something deeper was going on. It wasn't just normal aging. There were hidden reasons behind my fatigue. And once I uncovered them, everything changed. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 6 hidden causes of fatigue after 60. Things your doctor might not mention, but you need to know. Stick with me to the end, because the last one surprised me the most, and it just might surprise you too. The day I realized my tiredness wasn't normal, I'll never forget the moment it hit me. It was a typical morning, at least I thought. It was. I had just woken up, and like every day, I shuffled into the kitchen, hoping that a hot cup of coffee would jumpstart my energy. But as I stood there waiting for the coffee to brew, I realized my legs felt like lead weights. My head was foggy and my heart was beating a little faster than usual. I chalked it up to a bad night's sleep. But then it happened again and again. I found myself needing more naps, feeling drained halfway through the day, and struggling to keep up with simple tasks that used to be second nature. At first, I told myself, I'm just getting older. This is what 60 plus feels like. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just age. The real wake-up call came one afternoon when my grandson came over to visit. He's a ball of energy, always wanting to play and run around the yard. Normally, I'd be right there with him. But that day, I couldn't even get up off the couch. I watched him play from a distance, feeling helpless and frustrated. I realized, in that moment, I was missing out. And for what? Just because I was too tired? That's when I knew I had to dig deeper. The danger of ignoring the signs. I used to think that fatigue was just part of the aging process. After all, aren't we all supposed to slow down a bit after 60? But what I didn't know was that chronic fatigue can be a warning sign, an alarm bell from your body that something isn't right. It wasn't until I started paying attention that I noticed the patterns. I'd wake up feeling just as tired as when I went to bed. I was having trouble focusing and remembering things. Even light physical activity felt exhausting. My muscles ached, and my mood was slipping into frustration and irritability. These weren't just normal aging symptoms. They were red flags. Why I kept ignoring the obvious? Here's the thing. For a long time, I convinced myself it wasn't serious. I told myself, you're just busy, or you didn't sleep well last night. But when these feelings became my new normal, I realized I was making excuses. It's easy to ignore subtle changes when they happen gradually. One day of feeling tired doesn't seem like a big deal, but when that day turns into weeks or months, it's your body telling you to pay attention. The turning point. That night after my grandson left, I sat in my favorite chair, staring at the wall. I felt disappointed. Not just in my body, but in myself. I'd been so focused on brushing off the tiredness that I hadn't taken a moment to think about what it really meant. I asked myself, is this just aging, or is something else going on? Am I missing something that could make me feel better? What if this fatigue is a sign of something bigger? The questions kept swirling in my mind. I realized I couldn't keep ignoring it. I had to figure out what was stealing my energy. How fatigue stole my life. I started to notice all the little ways fatigue was impacting my life. I stopped taking my morning walks. I canceled plans with friends because I was too tired. I let clutter pile up because I didn't have the energy to tidy up. I found myself sitting on the couch for hours, zoning out. This wasn't the vibrant, active life I imagined for myself after retirement. I was missing out on moments with family, adventures with friends, and even small daily joys. The moment of realization. The real breakthrough came when I decided to track my energy levels. I kept a simple journal, noting how I felt in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Patterns emerged. I realized my fatigue wasn't random. it followed certain triggers. Sometimes it flared up after a poor night's sleep, but other times it struck after eating certain foods or feeling particularly stressed. That's when I knew. This wasn't just aging, it was my body trying to tell me something. Why you? Shouldn't ignore it either. If you felt the same way, dragging through the day, missing out on things you used to enjoy, feeling like your body has betrayed you, please listen to me. This isn't something to brush off or accept as just getting older. Fatigue after 60 can have hidden causes that are treatable, manageable, and even reversible, but only if you pay attention early and take action. Setting the stage for what's next. In the next sections of this video, I'll walk you through the hidden causes of fatigue that I uncovered. Some of them are surprisingly common, and others are sneaky culprits that most people, including me, don't even consider. By the end of this video, you'll not only know what might be draining your energy, you'll also have practical strategies to get it back. Trust me, if I can reclaim my vitality, so can you. So stay with me. Let's uncover the hidden truths behind fatigue after 60 and get back to living the life we deserve. The sneaky medical conditions that drain your energy. After I had that moment of realization, where I knew my tiredness wasn't just about aging, I decided to dig deeper. I thought, if this isn't normal, then what's really going on? I started doing my own research. I read articles, watched videos, and even sat down with my doctor to discuss my symptoms. What I discovered shocked me. There are several hidden medical conditions that can quietly drain your energy, and they're more common after 60 than I ever imagined. Let me share with you what I found out. It changed everything for me, and it might just change everything for you too. 1. Anemia, the silent energy. One of the first things my doctor checked for was anemia, a condition where your body doesn't produce enough red blood cells, which are responsible for carrying oxygen to your tissues. Without enough oxygen, your muscles and organs don't get the fuel they need to function, and you feel tired all the time. I didn't even think I could be anemic. After all, I wasn't bleeding, and I ate a relatively healthy diet. But it turns out that anemia in older adults isn't always caused by obvious bleeding. It can be due to vitamin deficiencies, like iron, B12, or folate, chronic inflammation, or even certain medications. When my doctor ran a simple blood test, my iron levels were slightly low and my B12 was borderline. That was a wake-up call. I started focusing on eating more iron-rich foods, added a B12 supplement with my doctor's approval, and within weeks, I noticed a difference in my energy levels. 2. Thyroid trouble, the hidden saboteur, another. Sneaky cause of fatigue I discovered was hypothyroidism, an underactive thyroid gland. The thyroid is a small butterfly-shaped gland in your neck that controls your metabolism. When it slows down, so does everything else. Symptoms of hypothyroidism can be subtle, feeling cold all the time. Weight gain without changes in diet. Dry. Skin and thinning hair, slower thinking and memory issues. And yes, persistent fatigue. I hadn't noticed these signs at first, but once I learned about them, they made sense. My doctor ordered a thyroid function test, and sure enough, my levels were on the lower side of normal. I wasn't diagnosed with full-blown hypothyroidism, but I was advised to monitor it and make dietary adjustments to support thyroid health. 3. Heart health. More than just the obvious. Here's one that really caught me off guard. Mild heart conditions can also lead to fatigue. I used to think heart problems only showed up as chest pain or shortness of breath. But in older adults, the signs can be much more subtle. For example, if your heart isn't pumping efficiently, even just a little bit, your muscles don't get enough blood and oxygen. This can leave you feeling tired, lightheaded, or even a bit breathless with exertion. In my case, my doctor suggested an EKG and a stress test just to rule things out. Thankfully, my heart was healthy, But the experience taught me to take fatigue as a potential early warning sign. It's better to be proactive than to ignore something that could become serious later. 4. Blood sugar and diabetes. The energy roller coaster, I also learned that blood sugar levels can play a huge role in how energized or exhausted you feel. Fluctuating blood sugar, especially in people with prediabetes or diabetes, can cause major dips in energy. I'd always thought my blood sugar was fine, but I started tracking it with a simple glucose monitor, and I noticed something surprising. On days when I ate lots of refined carbs or sugary snacks, I'd get a quick burst of energy, followed by a crash that left me drained. By making small changes like swapping out white bread for whole grains, cutting back on sugar and eating more balanced meals, I stabilized my blood sugar levels. The difference in my energy was remarkable. 5. Chronic inflammation. The hidden energy. Drain here's a cause of fatigue that I had never even considered: chronic inflammation. As we age, low-level inflammation in the body can increase, sometimes due to conditions like arthritis, autoimmune issues, or even poor gut health. This constant inflammation uses up the body's energy resources and can leave you feeling chronically fatigued. I realized that my own aches and pains, things I thought were just aging, could be linked to inflammation. I started incorporating more anti-inflammatory foods into my diet, like leafy greens, berries, and fatty fish, and I made an effort to reduce processed foods and refined sugars. Within weeks, I noticed not only more energy but also less joint stiffness and a clearer mind. It felt like a fog was lifting. 6. Nutrient deficiencies. The overlooked culprits. Finally, I discovered that nutrient deficiencies, even subtle ones, can have a major impact on energy. After 60, our bodies absorb nutrients less efficiently. Deficiencies in B vitamins, magnesium, vitamin D, and even electrolytes like potassium can all lead to feelings of fatigue. I worked with my doctor to get my levels checked and started taking targeted supplements. It wasn't about popping a bunch of pills. It was about identifying exactly what my body needed and providing it. The results were transformative. My big takeaway from this section: looking back, I realized that fatigue after 60 isn't just about getting older. It can be a sign of underlying medical conditions that need attention. The key is to listen to your body, track your symptoms, and talk to your doctor. Don't just accept constant tiredness as your new normal. There's a good chance that with a few tests and lifestyle adjustments, you can reclaim your energy and your life. Lifestyle habits that secretly sap your energy. By now, I was already uncovering medical reasons behind my chronic fatigue, but as I dug deeper, I realized that my own daily habits were also playing a huge role in draining my energy. I thought I was living a relatively healthy lifestyle, but small things I overlooked were slowly sapping my strength and vitality. Let me walk you through the lifestyle traps I discovered. These might seem minor at first glance, but over time they add up, and trust me, the moment I changed them, I felt the difference almost immediately. 1. Relying too much on caffeine. I used to think that coffee was my best friend. I'd wake up, pour myself a big cup, and count on it to jumpstart my day. But what I didn't realize was that I was relying too much on caffeine to mask my underlying fatigue. Here's the kicker. While caffeine can provide a temporary boost, it can also disrupt sleep quality if consumed later in the day. And when I wasn't sleeping well, I'd wake up more tired, reaching for, you guessed it, more coffee. It became a vicious cycle. I made a conscious decision to cut back. I limited myself to 1 small cup of coffee in the morning and switched to herbal tea in the afternoon. It was tough at first, but within a few weeks my energy felt more consistent and less jittery. 2. Poor sleep hygiene. I used to brush off my restless nights as normal for my age, but I came to realize that sleep hygiene matters more than ever after 60. Staying up too late watching TV, scrolling on my phone, and sleeping with the bedroom lights on were all sabotaging my rest. I started implementing a few simple changes. Setting a consistent bedtime, avoiding screens an hour before bed, making my bedroom cooler and darker, practicing gentle stretching or breathing exercises before sleep. The result? I started waking up feeling refreshed rather than groggy. It was a game changer. 3. Eating the wrong foods. Before this journey, I never thought much about how my diet affected my energy levels. But I soon realized that my love for refined carbs, sugary snacks, and heavy dinners was putting unnecessary strain on my body. These types of foods cause blood sugar spikes and crashes, leading to moments of hyperenergy followed by extreme fatigue. Plus, they contribute to inflammation, which, as I mentioned earlier, drains energy. I began making small swaps, whole grains instead of white bread, more fruits and vegetables, lean proteins like fish and beans, healthy fats from nuts and avocados, Difference was undeniable. My energy stayed steady throughout the day, and my afternoon slumps became a thing of the past. 4. Too little movement. I always thought that taking it easy was just part of aging. I figured I deserved to relax more, but I didn't. Realized that sitting too much was actually making me more tired. I started tracking how much I moved during the day, and it was shockingly low. Long periods of sitting slow down circulation, weaken muscles, and reduce energy levels. Even gentle movement can make a huge difference. I committed to a simple routine: short walks after meals, light stretching or chair yoga, standing up and moving every hour, even just for a few minutes. These little changes helped me feel more energized and even lifted my mood. 5. Not drinking enough water. It sounds so basic, but I was chronically dehydrated. After 60, our sense of thirst diminishes, and we might not realize we're drinking too little water. Dehydration can cause fatigue, headaches, and difficulty concentrating. I started carrying a reusable water bottle and set reminders to take small sips throughout the day. I also added hydrating foods like cucumbers, watermelon, and oranges to my diet. Within days, I noticed fewer headaches and more mental clarity. My energy levels climbed. 6. Stress. That lingers. Here's something I hadn't connected to: my fatigue, chronic stress. Even though I was retired, I still carried stress. Worries about family, finances, health, and the future. Stress triggers the release of cortisol, a hormone that, over time, can wear down the body and mind. It affects sleep, digestion, and mood, all factors that contribute to fatigue. I started practicing daily mindfulness or meditation, even just 5 minutes, journaling my thoughts to offload my worries, saying no more often to things that drained me emotionally. These practices helped me manage stress, and my body thanked me with better sleep and more consistent energy. The turning point. When I looked back on all these little habits, too much caffeine, poor sleep, unhealthy food choices, lack of movement, dehydration, and stress, I realized that they weren't little at all. They were adding up to one big energy drain. The good news? Every single one of them was within my control. What I did to turn it around. Here's a snapshot of the lifestyle shifts I made that recharged my life: cut back on caffeine and switched to herbal teas, created a relaxing bedtime routine and improved sleep hygiene, swapped processed snacks for whole foods, moved my body more throughout the day, increased my water intake, and added hydrating foods. Practiced mindfulness to manage stress. The result? I started waking up with more energy, moving through my day with a clear mind, and feeling like myself again. Why you shouldn't ignore these traps. If you're feeling drained and chalking it up to just getting older, take a hard look at your daily habits. These small changes don't require drastic overhauls. They're simple shifts that can make a world of difference. Trust me, I was skeptical at first too, but once I committed, the results spoke for themselves. The medications you're taking might be stealing your energy. I thought I had it all figured out. I was adjusting my lifestyle, improving my diet, and finally getting better sleep. But despite these changes, I still felt that something was holding me back. That's when my doctor asked me, "Have you considered that your medications might be causing your fatigue?" It was like a light bulb went off in my head. I hadn't thought about it. I just assumed that if a doctor prescribed it, it was safe and wouldn't interfere with my energy levels. But I was wrong. Here's what I learned, and what you should know too. 1. Common medications that can cause fatigue. I was surprised to discover that many common medications can cause tiredness or drowsiness as a side effect. Here are some of the main culprits. Beta blockers. Often prescribed for high blood pressure or heart conditions, these medications slow your heart rate and can leave you feeling sluggish. Sedatives and sleeping pills. Ironically, while these may help you fall asleep, they can cause grogginess the next day and disrupt natural sleep cycles. Antihistamines. Medications for allergies can cause drowsiness, especially first-generation, ones like diphenhydramine, Benadryl. Antidepressants. Some types, especially older tricyclics, can cause fatigue. Pain medications, opioids, and even some over-the-counter painkillers can affect your energy levels. Diabetes medications. Certain blood sugar-lowering drugs can lead to low blood sugar, causing sudden tiredness. When I reviewed my list of prescriptions and over-the-counter medications, I realized I was taking a few that could be contributing to my persistent fatigue. 2. What I did next. I didn't want to make any changes on my own. That could be dangerous. So I scheduled an appointment with my doctor to review every medication and supplement I was taking. Here's what I did during the visit. I brought a complete list of all medications, including over-the-counter drugs and vitamins. I described my fatigue symptoms in detail, including when they occurred and how severe they were. I asked whether any of my medications could be contributing to my low energy. My doctor was incredibly helpful. We reviewed each medication, and for some, we adjusted the dose or tried alternative treatments. For example, we switched from a sedating allergy medication to a non-drowsy version, and we tweaked the timing of certain doses to minimize side effects. 3. Medication timing. One thing I hadn't considered was when I was taking my medications. Some drugs can cause drowsiness if taken at the wrong time of day. For instance, a blood pressure medication that lowers heart rate might be better taken at night so it doesn't slow me down during the day. Similarly, certain antidepressants or pain medications might be better tolerated in the evening. By working with my doctor, we adjusted the timing of my medications to better align with my body's natural energy patterns. 4. The importance of honest communication. I learned that being honest with your doctor is crucial. Sometimes we're hesitant to mention side effects like fatigue because we don't want to seem like we're complaining or we're afraid of having our medication changed. But fatigue can seriously affect quality of life, and it's worth addressing. I also discovered that not all doctors automatically connect the dots between medications and fatigue. It's up to us to advocate for ourselves and ask the right questions. 5. It's not just prescription medications. I was shocked to learn that even over-the-counter medications and supplements can contribute to fatigue. For example, antihistamines in cold medicines or sleep aids can make you drowsy. Muscle relaxants may be available without a prescription but can cause sedation. Herbal supplements like valerian root or melatonin might interact with other medications and cause excessive sleepiness. I started reading labels carefully and consulting with my pharmacist before taking any new supplement or OTC product. It made a huge difference. 6. Managing medications safely. Here's what worked for me. Keep an updated list of all medications and share it with your doctor at every visit. Ask about side effects, especially if you're feeling unusually Tired. Discuss alternatives if a particular medication is making you too fatigued. Be mindful of timing. Ask if you should take a medication in the morning or evening to minimize side effects. Don't stop any medication abruptly without consulting your doctor. Some drugs require gradual tapering. 7. My turnaround. Moment. After reviewing and adjusting my medications, I started noticing subtle but important changes. My mid-morning and afternoon crashes became less intense. I felt more alert and focused throughout the day. It wasn't a magic fix, but it was a critical piece of the puzzle. When you're over 60, your body handles medications differently than it did when you were younger. Metabolism slows down, kidney and liver function change, and side effects can become more pronounced. That's why it's so important to stay proactive and informed. The power of knowledge. The biggest lesson I learned? Fatigue isn't something we have to accept as inevitable. By examining all the factors, including medications, we can take back control of our energy and our lives. If you're feeling tired and haven't considered your medications as a possible cause, I encourage you to have an open, honest conversation with your doctor. It might just change everything for you, like it did for me. How I reclaimed my energy, and how you can. 2. When I first began this journey to understand why I was always so tired, I thought it would be a simple fix, maybe more sleep or a better diet. But as I dug deeper, I realized fatigue after 60 isn't caused by just one thing. It's the result of multiple interconnected factors: medical conditions, medications, lifestyle habits, and more. The good news? Once I recognized the patterns, I was able to reclaim my energy, and you can too. Let me walk you through the strategies that transformed my days from dragging to dynamic. 1. Embracing a whole-person approach. One thing I learned is that focusing on just one aspect, like diet or sleep, wasn't enough. I had to take a whole-person approach. This meant looking at how everything I did, from the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed, affected my energy. I started tracking my days, noting when I felt most tired and what I had done beforehand. This simple exercise revealed patterns I hadn't noticed before. I was drinking caffeine too late. I was skipping meals and then overeating. I was spending too much time indoors without sunlight. By seeing the bigger picture, I could make targeted changes that added up to a real difference. 2. Moving more, but smarter. I always thought that exercise meant spending hours at the gym, which felt overwhelming. But what I discovered was that consistent, gentle movement was more effective than sporadic, intense workouts. I began incorporating short walks after meals, light stretching in the morning and evening, strength exercises using resistance bands, or light weights. Even on days when I felt tired, I reminded myself that moving a little was better than sitting still. Over time, this built up my stamina and improved my overall energy levels. 3. Fueling my body. The right way, I had always heard that you are what you eat. But it wasn't until I really cleaned up my diet that I felt the truth of that statement. I focused on eating whole, unprocessed foods, including lean proteins with every meal to stabilize blood sugar, eating plenty of colorful fruits and vegetables, staying hydrated with water and herbal teas. I also made a point to avoid sugary snacks and processed carbohydrates, which had been causing energy crashes. With these changes, my energy became more stable and predictable. 4. Taking care of my mind. Fatigue isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional too. I realized that stress and anxiety were draining my energy just as much as poor sleep or a bad diet. Here's what helped me. Mindfulness meditation. Just 10 minutes a day of focusing on my breath calmed my mind and reduced stress. Journaling. Writing down my thoughts, worries, and goals each day gave me clarity and perspective. Gratitude practice. Reflecting on what I was thankful for, even small things, lifted my spirits and helped me focus on the positive. These simple practices didn't just help me feel better emotionally, they also gave me more energy to face the day. 5. Prioritizing restful sleep. I used to think that sleep was something that just happened or didn't, but I learned that good sleep is a skill, and it's one that I could improve. I made these changes, setting a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, making my bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, avoiding screens for an hour before bed, using calming rituals like reading or listening to soft music. I also discovered the importance of addressing sleep apnea and other conditions that disrupt sleep. After talking to my doctor and getting a sleep study, I found that using a CPAP machine for my mild sleep apnea dramatically improved my rest and my energy during the day. 6. Becoming my own health advocate. Perhaps the most important thing I did was take control of my own health. I stopped assuming that feeling tired was just part of aging and started asking questions. I consulted with my doctor about medications, sought out a nutritionist for advice, and stayed informed through credible sources. I realized that no one cares more about my health and energy than I do. By becoming my own advocate, I was able to piece together a plan that worked for me. 7. Customizing my routine. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to fatigue, and I learned to listen to my body. Some days, I needed more rest. Other days, I had the energy to tackle bigger projects. I stopped comparing myself to others and focused on what made me feel my best. I created a flexible daily routine that included morning stretching and a nourishing breakfast, midday movement breaks, afternoon quiet time or a short nap if needed, evening wind-down routine for restful sleep. This balanced approach allowed me to maintain energy throughout the day while being kind to myself. 8. The result. Feeling like myself. Again. When I put all these pieces together, something amazing happened. I started waking up with energy. My mind felt clearer. I could enjoy time with family and friends without feeling exhausted. I felt like myself again. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but with patience and persistence, I reclaimed my vitality. And you can too. Your turn if you've been feeling constantly tired. Don't just accept it. Start by looking at the hidden causes, medical conditions, medications, lifestyle habits, and take small steps to change them. Talk to your doctor, move more, eat better, sleep well, and take care of your mind. Most importantly, believe that you deserve to feel energized and alive no matter your age.